Welcome, everyone, to Midday Meditation. It's Friday, the beginning of a beautiful weekend. And this week, the last couple of days, I've been talking about how we can train the mind in meditation to have better thoughts, higher quality thoughts, fewer thoughts, more purposeful thoughts, because the mind is a very precious resource and we want to be able to tap in to the full potential of the mind and not allow the mind to cause us distress. Yesterday, I talked about being economical, that the intellect, which is the part of consciousness that has the ability to control the mind, the intellect has to look at the thoughts and see if those thoughts are valuable thoughts that can lead to some kind of benefit, or if they're thoughts that are simply untrue and wasteful and they're wasting my energy. They could even be true, but they're wasting my energy, or they could even be thoughts that are causing me distress. So this is being economical. So today I want to look at this topic of negative thoughts, because when we can try to um, manage the mind or control the mind. And when we meditate for a few minutes, we can do that. But then when we go out and start performing actions, the mind goes back into its old habits of thinking. And one of those habits, of course, is negative thinking. So, what can we do about these thoughts? Some people call these thoughts ants, automatic negative thoughts. And if they're automatic, what can we do about them? So, the key is we have to understand where they're coming from. And then we can block the path. We can block the pathway so that these negative thoughts don't get expressed. And one big source of negative thoughts, for this we have to go a little bit deeper in consciousness, is having a negative attitude. Now, people accuse teenagers of having a negative attitude, but actually, most of us have negative attitudes about some things. And that negative attitude can just take over and it can cause me to have negative thoughts all day long, the negative attitude. So, if we want to reduce negative thoughts, the intellect now has to pay very close attention to my attitude. And the attitude is like the person behind the curtain who is prompting the negative thoughts. Attitude is the one that's influencing my thoughts, that's making me see life in a certain way, see other people in a certain way. It could be positive or negative. So ideally, what we would like is to have a positive attitude about everything, because it's easier to deal with things when we have a positive attitude and we don't waste energy complaining, criticizing, feeling bad as we would when we have a negative attitude. And if we have a positive attitude, we just in general feel lighter and we have more energy, and it seems like life is going better because of the positive attitude. And I think you can think of times when you've had a positive attitude and you might have worked really hard, but it didn't seem like working. You didn't get tired. For example, the gardening season is about to start, and anybody who's a gardener, you can go out on this weekend and garden all day long, and you won't notice any pain. You won't get upset because the ground isn't right. You just go and find what you need because you're growing flowers and vegetables. So, whatever activities we engage in that we really love, we tend to have positive attitudes. But wouldn't it be nice if we had a positive attitude about everything that we do? So it's possible to do this. Of course, it takes quite a bit of practice, but it's possible to do this, but it's the easy way to reduce negative thoughts so we don't have to battle with the negative thoughts, or we don't have to be harassed by our own negative thoughts. To look at the attitude. The attitude comes from my deep understanding of myself and my life. So, in our time together today, we'll look at that understanding of the self and life and experience having a positive attitude so that we can adjust our attitude from time to time as needed. When we find that there's a negative attitude, if I find myself getting grouchy or afraid or I want to procrastinate, then we just take a moment and look at the attitude respectfully. We don't beat the self up over anything, but we look at the attitude respectfully and see how can this attitude be positive? What kind of self-awareness could I enter into at this moment so that my attitude would be positive? To begin with, take a few deep, full, easy breaths. Watch the air enter and leave the lungs. We know that breathing is valuable. It's also easy. So we generally have a positive attitude towards breathing and also an appreciative attitude because breath is essential to life. As you inhale, inhale with appreciation towards the breath. And as you exhale, exhale with appreciation towards the world. One simple way to maintain a positive attitude is with appreciation, constant appreciation. When we appreciate, when we see the value, we're naturally positive. Bring your awareness now to the inner being. The sparkling star. The part of me that possesses all of my great energetic treasures and resources. I am the peaceful soul who lives in this body. Peace is such a wonderful treasure and resource of the soul. I can make myself feel well instantly just by invoking the energy of peace. Let the energy of peace flow. And radiate that energy of peace to the body. Let the body enjoy peace as well. Another easy way to have a positive attitude is to help. Simply to smile at another person is helping. To assist a person in some simple task, helping. To say thank you is helping. And so whenever we're helping, we have a positive attitude because this is what the soul is designed to do, to help in simple ways. And if my thoughts ever get negative, I can look around and see who I can help. Who can I smile at? Who can I say good morning to? Who can I give some compliment to or say thank you to? This shifts us from being controlled by the ego, which always feels there's something missing. This is why we have negative thoughts. The ego can never feel completely okay. So it shifts us from this ego thinking to the deep part of the soul that wants to, that has plenty of resources and wants to share. And so helping makes the attitude positive. Also, honoring the self makes the attitude positive. And this is perhaps the most powerful way to have a positive attitude. See the self as an eternal spiritual being. Eternal meaning we always are. Our eternal life is not at all dependent on the body. We're not part of this material world, and so we're never destroyed. We simply come into the world and leave the world, and then come back again, and then leave again. So eternal, and eternal means within me I have some eternal qualities, wonderful qualities. Peace, love, truth, benevolence, respect, freedom, joy, compassion. The soul is not made up of matter, but it's made up of these beautiful qualities. And so when I honor my qualities, I enjoy my qualities, even just reciting all my qualities to myself. It makes my attitude positive. This is who I am. I'm not a consumer like the ego thinks. I'm full of many good qualities. I have much to contribute to the world. I have many resources to sustain myself. And so in this consciousness, I'm not dependent on what's happening around me. I'm not feeling like a victim as the ego does, or I'm not feeling overlooked or deprived as the ego does. But I'm full, complete, free. I have lots to offer to myself and also, of course, to the world. So, to have a positive attitude when I'm under a barrage of negative thoughts, I can pick out some quality, humor. Let me think about this good humor, which is a good quality of mine. What's something recently that made me laugh? Or we can think about what is something I did recently that made another person happy? Or what was something I did for myself that was really responsible? We start looking at the life of the soul. Even if what comes to mind is something really hurtful that happened, and the soul can say, okay, well, what quality could I pull out right now to make myself feel better? Maybe the quality is acceptance or tolerance, or maybe just good wishes. Maybe it's just time to let go of that kind of thinking. It doesn't serve me anymore. Let it go. Goodbye. Think about something else. So we don't fight the negative thoughts. That's usually a losing battle. Instead, we cultivate a positive attitude. We recognize that behind the negative thoughts, there's a negative attitude. Let me change my attitude. And if I can't think of anything else positive, I can always remember that I, the soul, am loved by God. Even when I'm at my grouchiest, it doesn't matter, doesn't make a difference to the Supreme Soul. I'm loved by God all the time. And I can always go into this space of considering myself to be a soul. And from that perspective, I can open myself up to God's love. And I can't say, even God doesn't love me. That's false. That's the ego speaking. The soul is beloved child of God eternally. So I open myself up to that being of light who is in a dimension where everything is eternally the same, which means eternally blissful and peaceful and easy. And so the being who is called the Supreme Love is always radiating the energy of love. And I can open myself to it, receive it. This love is always available. I just have to first see myself as a soul, a child of God, not focus on my behavior. The ego gets very upset by my own bad behavior. The soul sees eternity. Some days I'm going to be on the mark, other days I'm going to miss the mark. So, what's important is the present moment. How positive can I be in the present moment? What can I gain in this present moment? What can I share in this present moment? The soul, being eternal, is only interested in the present. The ego is tied to the body, so the ego is not eternal. Ego has a fixed lifespan. I, the soul, am loved by God. And that love becomes a source of power for me. God's love gives me the power to have a positive attitude. The power to be peaceful, to be positive, and to be confident. Om Shanti. Our blessing for today. There's the picture. The blessing is with an open and happy heart, you embrace every precious moment of your life. With an open and happy heart, you embrace every precious moment of your life.